Hello, my name is Mukesh Khattar. I'm Technical Executive at the Electric Power Research Institute based in Palo Alto, California. EPRI is a worldwide organization primarily funded by the electric power companies to address issues related to power generation, transmission, distribution, down to the end-use technologies. And my focus primarily is related to energy use in commercial, residential, industrial facilities, including data centers, and looking at how the future is shaping up in terms of the requirement for power, and that is reliable power, power that's also always available in these type of facilities, and how the electric utilities need to be prepared for it.
Okay. And now, yesterday you took part in Energy Smart. How was Energy Smart, and what issues did it cover?
So Energy Smart is a very smart thing that you're doing in terms of bringing the people who are working south of the meter in terms of data center users who have a very large infrastructure to support reliable operation of the electricity continuity availability there. And on the other side, on the north of the meter, is where you bring the electric power supplier or the providers, like power companies, together to talk about things that they can do together to make sure that their availability is increased, reliability is improved. What can they do jointly together? If you think about it, the infrastructure from the utilities point of view, they're planning for the next 20, 30, 40 years. Whereas the data centers who come in and would like to have power, large, humongous amounts of power in a very short time. Their cycles are like 18 months, they want to have a data center ready. So if there is a more dialogue between them, more advanced intimation, they can work together in trying to figure out the right locations where the power is available, where the power quality is high, is where they can provide in a very short time, rather than selecting a location where it will take longer for them to provide the resources. Also, they need to make sure that you will need power as you grow, and the power will be available as you grow. So there's a good dialogue between the utilities and the end users that can help improve the performance of data centers in their operation, in their planning, in their strategic decisions making. So this is one of the best things you guys did. We really appreciate that.
Brilliant. Okay. Any particular issue that you thought came out was important from yesterday?
Yeah, the issues that were very interesting is what we see the future is little bit moving in the direction of hyperscale data centers and cloud data centers, where enterprises are moving towards cloud, and therefore everything is concentrated in the fewer larger data centers. And yet we see technologies like artificial intelligence is beginning to require a lot more computing power, and it would require down the road the computational capability closer to where the application is. For example, if you're looking at a automated car, autonomous car driving, for example, the information can be shared in a short distance, because all the autonomous car needs to know how is the local conditions. It doesn't need to know what is happening in Russia, for example, or what's happening in UK. So it doesn't need to go to the cloud to get the information. It has to do all the local processing and a very high-speed processing. So we see that in the future there is going to be more edge data centers coming up, and this is an evolving situation. We're going to watch and see how it works, and also how utilities can provide uninterrupted, a high availability power to these facilities.
10 years ago, there was a big fear that data center power demands were going to explode, but it didn't happen. For the last 7 years or so, in America, the demands of data centers has been more or less level.
Well, that is very good, because when 10 years ago the attention was drawn to the exploding demand in data centers, it brought the industry together to figure out ways how they can curtail the demand. And the metric that is now become very standard and championed by the Green Grid of power utilization effectiveness has helped people monitor the performance and see how they can continue to improve it. The average PUE in those days was somewhere around 2. The newer data centers are coming up that have a PUE or power utilization effectiveness that's as low as 1.1, which means for every kilowatt the data center needs, only 10% is overhead for power conditioning for their cooling purposes. So that has shown a tremendous improvement, and that has helped reduce the growth in the energy consumption there. Some people say it's become stable, but again, there is so much growth happening in IoT, the amount of data coming up, this data is going to go somewhere in the data center.
Yeah.
And therefore, the demand will continue to increase, and there is perception that the study may not have counted all this development happening, especially in the IoT space. And if you count that, the future demand is continuing to grow. I have seen some reports that suggest that a demand in countries like Ireland, 15% or more of their energy consumption may be related to data center, because the new data centers are coming up across the ocean, and they're landing in the cable landing that's happening in Ireland, and that's where the new data centers are growing very, very rapidly. So there is perception, or there was consumption which was expected to be in the range of 2%, was going to go to 4%, is approximately somewhere around 3% of the energy consumption related to data centers. But this consumption, this is a modern day factories. You want to have more output, you have to give more input too. So they continue to grow.